The studio lights were harsh, highlighting every drop of sweat on CEO David Calhoun's forehead. He sat across from the interviewer, the room quiet except for the faint hum of equipment. The question was direct and unavoidable. "Mr. Calhoun, Comac just announced the C929's flawless test flight. Your stock is down 12% before the market opens. How do you respond?" Calhoun tried to answer, but nothing came out. His eyes were wet. The confident image was starting to crumble, live on national TV. The interviewer pushed again. That was the breaking point. When Calhoun finally spoke, his voice shook with emotion, frustration, exhaustion, and defeat. He talked about sleepless nights, endless meetings, and the huge pressure to fix a company hit by years of problems. He mentioned the thousands of employees whose jobs depend on Boeing's future. The usual corporate mask was gone, showing a vulnerability that was both surprising and deeply human. Within minutes, Calhoun's emotional moment went viral, a powerful image of Boeing's struggles, once unbeatable, now under pressure. While Boeing's leadership faced a public meltdown, China's state-owned aerospace manufacturer Comac was celebrating a monumental triumph. The C929, a wide-body, twin-engine jet, had just completed its most ambitious test flight yet. It took off from Shanghai, flew non-stop for over 13 hours, and landed smoothly in a European capital. The total distance covered was a staggering 12,000 kilometers. This was not just a test flight, it was a declaration. It proved that the C929 was not merely a concept or a regional player. It was a machine capable of connecting continents, directly challenging the lucrative long-haul market dominated by Boeing's 787 Dreamliner and Airbus's A350. The significance of this achievement cannot be overstated. For decades, the design and production of long-range commercial aircraft was a duopoly held firmly by Boeing and Airbus. It was a club with only two members, a technological peak that many thought was too steep for others to climb. The C929's flight shattered that perception. It demonstrated that China, through immense state investment, strategic planning, and technological acquisition, had finally arrived. The aircraft incorporated advanced composite materials, modern avionics, and fuel-efficient engines developed in a joint venture. It met the performance benchmarks that defined the modern era of aviation. The 12,000-kilometer range is a critical metric. It puts major global city pairs within reach. A C929 could fly from Beijing to London, from Shanghai to Los Angeles, or from Guangzhou to Sydney without refueling. This capability opens the door for Chinese airlines and potentially other international carriers to operate these routes with a homegrown aircraft. It breaks their dependency on Western manufacturers for the most prestigious and profitable routes. This flight was a carefully choreographed event, designed to showcase China's industrial and technological prowess to a watching world. It was a message that a new power had entered the aerospace arena. The success of the C929 is the culmination of a decades-long national strategy. China identified aerospace as a key industry for its future economic and geopolitical ambitions. It poured billions into research, development, and infrastructure. It patiently built a supply chain and nurtured a generation of aerospace engineers. The C929 is the crown jewel of this effort. Its successful long-haul flight is not just a technical milestone. It is a moment of national pride and a powerful symbol of China's rise. The Dragon had not just stirred, it had taken flight, and its wingspan covered the globe. The news of the C929's success landed on Boeing at a time when the American giant was already profoundly vulnerable. The company, once the undisputed king of the skies, has been navigating the worst period in its century-long history. The crisis began with the two tragic crashes of its 737 MAX aircraft in 2018 and 2019, which killed 346 people. These events exposed deep-seated issues within Boeing's corporate culture, revealing a shift in focus from engineering excellence to financial performance. The subsequent grounding of the entire MAX fleet worldwide was a devastating blow to its finances, and more importantly, its reputation for safety. Even after the 737 MAX was cleared to fly again, Boeing's troubles were far from over. The company has been plagued by a relentless series of production flaws and quality control lapses across its commercial aircraft programs. From improperly drilled holes in fuselages to issues with de-icing systems and contaminated fuel tanks, the headlines have been a constant drumbeat of failure. These problems have led to significant delivery delays for its key products, including the 787 Dreamliner and the new 777X. Airlines that had placed billions of dollars in orders were left frustrated, and the trust of the flying public continued to erode with each new revelation. This string of internal crises has been compounded by intense scrutiny from regulators. The Federal Aviation Administration, once seen as having a cozy relationship with Boeing, has taken a much harder line. It has increased its oversight of Boeing's production lines and has been slow to certify new aircraft variants, demanding exhaustive proof of their safety and reliability. This regulatory pressure, while necessary, has further slowed Boeing's recovery and added to its financial strain. The company has been burning through cash, its stock price has languished, and its leadership has been in a constant state of turmoil, trying to manage one crisis after another. It is within this context of deep internal struggle that the news of the C929's flight arrived. Boeing was already fighting a war on multiple fronts, against its own quality control demons, against skeptical regulators, and against a public that had grown wary of its products. It was trying to fix its foundations while its primary competitor, Airbus, was gaining market share. The emergence of a third, credible and ambitious competitor in the long-haul market was the last thing Boeing needed. The C929's success was not just a new challenge, it was a powerful blow to a titan that was already on its knees, struggling to stand. The impact of the C929's flight, combined with the CEO's on-air breakdown, was immediate and brutal. It was a 1-2 punch that sent shockwaves through the financial markets and the aviation industry. Boeing's stock, already fragile, plummeted. Investors saw not just a new competitor, but a competitor emerging at the precise moment Boeing appeared weakest. The narrative shifted overnight. The question was no longer if Boeing would recover, but how it could possibly compete in a new three-way race for the skies when it was still struggling to fix its own fundamental problems. The confidence of Wall Street, a critical pillar of support, was visibly shaken. For Boeing's reputation, the damage was catastrophic. For generations, the Boeing brand was synonymous with American engineering, safety, and reliability. It was the gold standard. The 737 MAX disasters began to tarnish that image, and the subsequent quality issues turned it into a full-blown crisis of identity. The C929's flawless performance provided a stark and painful contrast. While Boeing was dealing with loose bolts and production delays, a new rival demonstrated precision and ambition. This created a powerful public perception. Boeing was the past, a struggling giant mired in its own mistakes, while Comac represented the future, a disciplined and rising power. This reputational damage has tangible consequences. Airlines, Boeing's primary customers, are businesses that thrive on certainty and reliability. They need to know that the aircraft they order will be delivered on time and will operate safely and efficiently. The ongoing issues at Boeing have already tested their patience. The arrival of a viable alternative in the C929 gives them something they haven't had for decades: leverage. They can now credibly threaten to take their multi-billion-dollar orders elsewhere. This is especially true for airlines in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, regions where China's geopolitical influence is strong. The long-term prospects for Boeing are now clouded with uncertainty. The long-haul market, served by planes like the 787 and 777, has been Boeing's most profitable segment. It was the company's fortress. The C929 is a direct assault on that fortress. Losing even a fraction of this market to a new competitor would have a devastating impact on Boeing's future profitability and its ability to invest in the next generation of aircraft. The shockwave from the C929's flight was not just about a single day of bad news. It was about a fundamental reshaping of the competitive landscape and a deep wound to a once invincible American icon.